This is how Mercury retrograde will affect you. All signs will be included in this video. Watch the section for your rising sign as well as your sun sign. If you don't know your rising sign or your sun sign, check out the link in my bio for a free chart calculator. And if you want an in-depth look at your chart, I recommend getting a chart reading. I offer those as well on my website, which is linked in my bio. Aries, the first half of Mercury retrograde, you're going to be really reflecting on your personal image and if what you are projecting out to the world is really what you want to project. And if there's any changes that need to be made, you're going to be thinking about what needs to be changed during this time. The second half of Mercury retrograde is going to make you feel really introspective. You're really connecting with your inner self. Great time for meditation, great time for journaling, great time for releasing emotions that are no longer serving you. Taurus, the first half of Mercury retrograde, you could receive some messages through your dreams or through coming through meditation. So pay attention to anything you receive during this time, focusing on letting go of old fears that are holding you back. The second half of Mercury retrograde, you could hear from an old friend, somebody from your past that maybe you want to start a friendship up with them again. You're also making any changes in your social circle or the people that you surround yourself with. You're making any changes if the energy doesn't feel right or you feel like people aren't helping you and aren't bringing positive things into your life, it's time to let them go. But you could actually rekindle something from the past with a friend that you maybe wanted to work something out with. So that's a positive. Gemini, the first half of Mercury retrograde, you are thinking about your friends, your social circle. You're making sure that people are aligned with you and the people that are around you are people that you feel like are bringing positive things into your life. The second half of Mercury retrograde, the energy shifts to your long-term goals in your career. Be careful of any miscommunications at work during this time. Make sure that you're able to be authentic in your career. That's something that you're really going to be thinking about during this retrograde period. Cancer, the first half of this retrograde period, you're really thinking about your career, your long-term goals. You are making any adjustments needed. You're letting go of any doubt that you have about yourself and your abilities when it comes to your career. The second half of Mercury retrograde, your focus shifts to your beliefs, your perspective on life. You might be thinking back on how your beliefs have changed over time, and you might want to start learning something, pick up on something that you were learning about in the past that you want to continue. Leo, the first half of the retrograde period, you're really reflecting on your perspective on life. What needs to shift here? Is there something that you've been holding on to that might be more of a negative belief? It's possible to hear from somebody that you maybe met on a vacation or somebody you studied with in school. You could hear from somebody like that from your past during this time. The second half of the retrograde period, you are becoming more introspective. You're thinking about past versions of yourself and how far you've come. And you're letting go of the need for control or the need for power. Instead, you're focusing on releasing the need for control and instead finding power from within yourself instead of trying to find it from anything external. Virgo, the first half of Mercury retrograde, you are focused on letting go of past versions of yourself. You are focused on letting go of emotions that are holding you back, things from the past that are holding you back. You're going through a mini transformation that's very internal. Now, the second half of retrograde, you are going to start focusing more on your relationships. This transformation that you went through is going to help you become more authentic in your relationships. You could actually hear from somebody from the past, especially during the second half of Mercury retrograde period. And maybe this is a good thing because maybe you need closure. But it's obviously not always good to rekindle something from the past. Instead, maybe treat it as if you do hear from somebody, get closure if you need it. Libra, for you, the first half of Mercury retrograde, you are rethinking your past relationships. You're also, if you're in a relationship currently, you're thinking about where you can shift things. You could definitely hear from a past partner. Remember, it's better to leave people in the past unless you do need closure on something. Then it could be a good time to get closure. The second half of Mercury retrograde, your perspective is shifting to your daily routines, to your health and wellness. Is there something that you've been maybe slacking in or something that you want to shift? And maybe something from the past, some health and wellness routine that you used to do in the past, you might think that you want to start incorporating that again in your routine. Scorpio, the first half of Mercury retrograde, you're thinking about your daily routine. You might kind of experience some delays when it comes to your daily routine, and the purpose of that is so you can rethink what you want to be doing on a daily basis. Focus on creating more balance when it comes to your daily routine. And then the second half of Mercury retrograde, you are going to be focused on your creativity. Also, romantic relationships could come up. So people from the past that you had a romantic connection with might pop back up in your life. And you might want to restart a creative project that you had left in the past that you might want to pick back up on now. Sagittarius, the first half of Mercury retrograde, you're being asked to connect again with your creative side. You're being asked to connect with your inner child, and you're being asked to connect with what brings you joy again. So slow down a bit, focus less on work and more on what makes you happy. The second half of Mercury retrograde, the focus shifts to your home and your family. You could have a conversation with a family member that you needed to have, maybe something from the past you've been holding on to, something in your home or living space that maybe something from the past that was broken, it could come up again, so pay attention to that. But most importantly, just focus on making yourself feel the most emotionally secure in your environment. Capricorn, the first half of Mercury retrograde, you are focused on your family and your home and your emotional security. Something from the past with a family member could come back up, something from your home and living space from the past, maybe something that needed to be repaired, maybe that flares back up right now. Then the second half of Mercury retrograde, you're focused more on your communication. This is the time where you could really experience some miscommunications, so be careful what you're speaking on and what you're saying the second half, especially of this retrograde period. And you could reconnect with old ideas from the past that maybe they resonate with you again. So anything from the past that you want to follow up with and you want to continue to learn about, it's a great time to do that. Aquarius, the first half of Mercury retrograde is especially a time that you could experience miscommunications when speaking and when writing. So be aware of that, especially if you have to do a lot of writing or speaking, communicating for your job. It's a great time to reflect on your communication style and change anything that you need to change. Make sure you're being as authentic as possible in the way that you're communicating. Then the second half of Mercury retrograde, your focus shifts to your financial situation, your self-worth, your values. Make sure that what you're spending money on is aligned with what you actually value and what you want to be spending money on. It's a good time to check in with your finances and make sure everything's aligned here. And maybe, like, for example, you're not getting charged for something every month that you're not using, things like that. It's good to look back and make changes for the future. Pisces, the first half of Mercury retrograde, you're focused on your self-worth, your values, and also your financial situation. You are letting go of things that are affecting how you feel about yourself and how you feel about your financial security. It's a good time to check in with your financial situation and make sure you're not getting charged for something that you're not using, and maybe just create a budget or just check in with your spending and your saving. The second half of Mercury retrograde, the focus shifts to you and your personal identity and how you are presenting yourself to the world. You want to think about if you feel like you're authentic in the way that you present yourself. And if not, it could be a good time to think about what changes you want to make. If you want to learn more about your chart or what to expect in the future, I do offer prediction readings as well as normal chart readings and compatibility readings and career readings. So check that out on my website, which is linked to my bio if you are interested.